Hey everybody, I have a quick video for you today. At least it's a quick video for me. I'm going to talk to you about a trick I use to make my 3D renders look a little bit better in post-production. It makes them look a little bit more like a painting. It requires the use of some software called Photomatix. Photomatix was originally for doing high dynamic range photography, which is where you take 3 photographs of the same subject, taken at different light levels, and combine them into one image that has a high range of color values. But I find that it works very well with any kind of digital art. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I have here an image that I recently rendered. I've done a little bit of post-production to it, added some fog and fixed the dog's fur a little bit. But I haven't enhanced the colors yet, and that's what I'm going to do now. Now you notice I have it loaded in GIMP. The first step of this process is to actually create 3 images from the one, each with a different light level. Now with a camera you do this by setting different settings on the camera, but when you're working with digital art you got to do this through some sort of image processing software. So in this case I'm using GIMP. It's open source image processing software. It's free and I like to use it. So here I have the original image, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it as a JPEG. It does have to be saved as JPEGs for Photomatix. So we'll save as, okay, so here we're saving it as Rottweiler.jpg, and we'll save that at the highest quality, 100%. And now we're going to go into colors, and we're going to make this a darker image. So we use levels, and we're going to pull the shadow values up and the mid-tone values up just a bit more. It makes a pretty dark image, and actually it looks a little too saturated, so I'm going to cancel out of this. I'm going to go into colors, and I'm going to desaturate this scene just a little bit. Get some of that intense color out, and now I'm going to try making it darker with the levels. That looks a little bit better. It's not quite so in the colors it's showing aren't showing quite so intense. And now we're going to save this as Rottweiler dark, and then we're just gonna, I'm holding down the control key and hitting Z a couple of times to undo the darkening and the desaturation. Now I'm going to go in here again, back into levels. Oops, that's curves. Colors, levels. I'm going to move the light values down and then the midtone values down some more. Now I have a really light image where all the shadowy areas on this side of the dog are now standing out. I'm not lost in the dark anymore. And we'll save that as Rottweiler light. Okay. And I'm going to just, while I'm here in GIMP, I'm going to undo that last lightning. Now I'm going to fire up Photomatix and select Load Bracketed Photos. In this case I'm going to select the 3 images we did of our Rottweiler and open those. Okay. Now Photomatix is going to try and figure out which is the light and which is the dark, and it did a pretty good job. It's figured out that the light one is here, the dark one is here, and it has these EV values, exposure values, +2 for the light one and -2 for the dark one. Hit OK. Now all this stuff here is for lining up photos that you've taken with a real camera that may not be quite lined up with each other. So since we're using just a single source file of digital art, everything we know is going to be lined up. Just leave everything here unchecked. And you let it do its thing. And now it's combined. Now you can see here you have light values and dark values showing up pretty well. Over here you have a bunch of presets, and you can select any one of these and see how they turn out. And then after you select a preset, you can go over here and mess around with the sliders here to see what kind of difference each one can make. There's a lot of experimentation I do here for every image. I tend to like the preset called Enhanced. That one's a little bit dark, so I'm going to raise the gamma on that. A bit more, not quite that much, right there. And I like to move the black point up. This will make the dark values a little bit darker. Let me pull the temperature down, and then we can saturate the colors some more. Actually, I don't like that. Right about there. That's good enough for now. And then you hit process, and it's going to take what was a preview image and make a final image out of it. So you give it a few minutes to crank away. Alright, we're done. And then you just save the image. And we'll close that up. Now I'm back in GIMP here, and what I'm going to do with our original image is File, Open as Layers, and I'm going to select that new image we generated, the dark light tone mount. And now you see here it's overlaid as an image. So if I bring up the image control panel, I can hide our new top layer. You can see quite a bit of difference that Photomatix made. Now the image isn't great yet, it needs a little bit of adjustment. So I'll just go in here and adjust the levels so that we got some better darks. I think the light is okay. I'll leave it about there. I'll play around with this a little bit. Okay. Now since we have this as a layer, maybe it's the difference between the adjusted by Photomatix version and the old version is a little too steep. We can always just make this layer a little bit transparent. And so now we're editing in degrees. So I kind of like it better at about 70% here versus the 100%. So we'll go back down to 70. And then we just flatten the image. Now we have a color enhanced image that's just a little bit easier on the eye to look at. And that's it for today. So thank you very much, and don't forget you can check out my gallery at www.danieleskridge.com. Thanks everybody. Have a good evening.